Well, good morning. Today, we are going to break apart one of the laziest but most powerful slogans in modern politics. It's just a clump of cells. That line is tossed around like it's science. But in reality, it's a bumper sticker, not biology. It's not embryology, it's rhetoric, carefully chosen to strip away any dignity. If we're honest, all of us are a clump of cells. You're a clump of cells. I'm a clump of cells. Wouldn't you like to be a clump of cells? The person who came up with that phrase is merely a clump of cells. The real question is this: are we looking at ordered, living, distinct human development, or are we looking at something random and disposable? Today, we're walking through the science, stage by stage. No politics, no philosophy first, just biology. Then, once we've laid the foundation, we'll look at why clump of cells story is pushed so hard and what history shows us when we reduce human beings to slogans. It all begins at fertilization. A sperm cell and an egg cell meet. Each carries 23 chromosomes. And when they fuse, you have 46. You have a full set. In that instant, the zygote has a genetic code unique from both of the parents. The DNA is not potential, it's actual. It's a complete instruction manual. From the first moment, that single cell contains the full blueprint for eye color, sex, blood type, and thousands of other traits. And what happens next? That one cell just doesn't sit there. Within hours, it begins dividing. 2 cells, then 4, then 8, then 16. But here's the critical point. These divisions aren't just random. This isn't cancer multiplying without order. Each new cell already has a fate mapped out. Some will become skin, some will become bone, some will become neurons, some will form the placenta to support growth. A random clump doesn't self-organize with purpose. This zygote does. From the very start, it's not chaos, it's choreography. Days 1 through 14 are extraordinary. During this time, the zygote travels into the fallopian tubes, down the fallopian tubes, okay, dividing rapidly. The division keeps going. Then it becomes what's called a blastocyst. By the end of the first week, it implants into the uterine wall. Now think about this. If this were just the mother's tissue, her body wouldn't need to adapt. But it does. The immune system shifts to accept this genetically distinct organism. Hormones surge to support it. A placenta begins to form. An entirely new organ designed to support growth. The placenta, completely new organ designed to support growth. Inside that blastocyst, Specialized cells are already beginning to differentiate. The inner cell mass will become the embryo itself, the outer layer, the trophoblast. It's setting up the placenta and the umbilical cord. This is precision, not accident. So by day 14, the primitive streak forms. The very first sign of the body's axis, defining right from left, head from tail. It's not just tissue. That's an organism already charting out its body plan. At 3 weeks, the neural tube forms. That's the structure that will become the brain and the spinal cord. It closes by day 28. Failures in this process can lead to conditions like spina bifida, which is why folic acid is recommended for women even before pregnancy. By week 4, the heart tube appears. It doesn't look like an adult heart, but it contracts. It circulates blood. Blood cells are already present. Vessels are forming. You're looking at the beginning of a functioning circulatory system. A clump of cells doesn't plan its spinal cord. It doesn't circulate blood, but this embryo does. And by week 5, the embryo is about the size, think about this, of a sesame seed. But it has a beating heart. The chambers are forming. Electrical activity drives contractions that push blood through a tiny but organized circulatory system. Now, some people try to dismiss this by saying it's not a real heartbeat. You'll hear that. It's just electrical activity. So I have to wonder, in high school, in 10th grade, when you had biology, did you pass? Did you pass? Because let's be clear, every heartbeat, yours, mine, everyone's, is electrical activity, causing muscles to contract. That's what a heartbeat is. To call it anything else is simply wordplay. So by week 6, limb buds are visible, eyes are beginning to form, the brain is growing rapidly, the beginning of a liver and lungs are appearing. This is not some vague tissue. This is a developing human being, small but structured. By 7 weeks, hands and feet are shaping. The embryo can make a tiny spontaneous movements. The jaw and the face are taking recognizable form. By week 8, the embryo is now officially called a fetus. Almost every major organ system is present in rudimentary form. Fingers and toes are visible. Facial figures are distinguishable. Reflex activity is underway. And this is where the whole clump of cells narratives collapses visually. If you look at an 8-week ultrasound, you don't mistake it for a tumor. What you see is a tiny person. So by 12 weeks, a fetus can swallow, it can make sucking motions, they can respond to touch, they kick, even if the mother can't feel it yet. The sex is identifiable. Vocal cords are present. Teeth buds are forming. At this stage, many people who hear a clump of cells would be shocked, some of them terrified, actually, to see the reality, because now there is simply no denying this is your human form. This is human development. I'm gonna be straight with you. This isn't a religious statement. I could do that too, but this is biology. Embryology textbooks like developing human plainly say human development begins at fertilization. Other standard references like Human Embryology by Lawson say exactly the same. A new human organism begins to exist at conception. Now, the American College of Pediatricians affirms life begins at conception. Even those medical associations that are politically cautious acknowledge the continuous nature of human development. The disagreement is not on the biology. The disagreement is on what we value. Because development is continuous. There's no magical line where a non-human suddenly becomes human. The zygote, the embryo, the fetus, the newborn, the child, the adult are all the same organism in different stages. The human brain, for example, continues maturing into the mid-20s. A teenager's prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed. That doesn't make them less human. An elderly person may lose memory and independence, and that doesn't make them less human. To reduce early developments to just cells ignores the reality of continuity. All right, let's go ahead and address some of the common objections, things that you might hear. The first is viability. Some will argue that the unborn isn't human until it can survive outside of the womb. But viability changes with technology. 50 years ago, babies born at 28 weeks almost never survived. Today, babies born at 22 weeks often do. Humanity cannot hinge on NICU technology. One of the things they say is awareness. Some say the fetus isn't aware yet. Satiant is what they call it. Yeah. But awareness isn't the standard for life. Because a person under anesthesia isn't aware. Have you ever been under anesthesia? I have. A coma patient isn't aware. Have you ever been in a coma? I have. But they're still human. And this one is the silliest. Appearance. Some will argue early embryos don't, quote, look human, end quote. But what should a human look like at that stage? A 4-week embryo looks like a 4-week human, like a 4-week-old human. Appearance has never been the standard of worth. All of these objections collapse under the tiniest bit of scrutiny. Now, history shows us a pattern. When societies want to justify harming or discarding a group, they change the language. Slaves were called property. Jews were called vermin. Segregationists talked about separate but equal. Each phrase was designed to dehumanize. Today, unborns are called a clump of cells. It's the very same strategy. Strip away dignity with words to make injustice easier to swallow. Now, here's another scientific point. The relationship between mother and child is not a tumor and host. It's really closer to an organ transplant. The unborn child is genetically distinct. The mother's body makes specific immune adaptations to accept it. If it were just her tissue, the body wouldn't need to do this. This proves the unborn is not a part of her body. It's a separate body. It's supported by her, but it's a separate body. So where does this leave us? The science is clear. From conception forward, we are looking at a living, distinct, developing human organism. The question is not biological. The question is moral. Do we protect life at every stage? Or do we assign value based on convenience, size, or independence? So this phrase, clump of cells, collapses under the least bit of scrutiny. At every stage, the unborn displays order, development, individuality, from zygote to fetus. This is not random tissue. This is human life on a journey of growth. Again, this debate isn't about science. This debate is about whether we have the courage to face it. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. Until we see you again, go out there and learn to love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.